In any way live. It is Saturday evening. For any of you who have seen my Facebook wall today, you know it's not a great day around these parts. When I was younger, I was not a cat person or a dog person. I was probably more of a cat person. I didn't have any pets growing up. None. I babysat a rat from school for a week. First pet I ever had in my household was when I was rooming with some college friends during my last uh, semester in college, and Rich Davies had a kitten, and I liked the kitten. I was allergic to the kitten. I've always been allergic to cats to one degree or another, but I liked the kitten. But I never wanted pets. I didn't want the expense. I didn't want to have to deal with it. Have to feed them, to walk them, to clean up after them. It just seemed like just yeah, I just wasn't a pet person. In my first marriage, my wife had a dog, and I liked that dog. It was a good dog, old dog, didn't do much. Little dog, little white haired dog. I used to Lhasa Apso. That's what it was. He was a good dog. When I married Christy, we she didn't have any pets. We had two kids. She had two kids when I married her, and we continued to have kids, which is why we now have six. No pets other than a lizard, a gecko for my son that he has now somehow kept alive for. Well, let's see, he got it in 2008, for 13 years. Amazing. That gecko has survived. Not my pet, not my concern. You know, I had to pick up crickets for it all the time, but that's about it. Then my daughter, Bailey, ended up qualifying for a service dog, Fergus, when we moved here to Denver. We got Fergus after we'd been here maybe a couple of years. And I can't say I was in favor of Fergus. I didn't want a dog. I didn't want to deal with it. Honestly, I didn't think Bailey could handle it. And only to some degree could she at that age. And yeah, Christy did a lot of the caretaking. We made Bailey walk the dog and teach the dog tricks. She had to do some things to be able to keep the dog from the people who made sure she got it, because it wasn't truly a service dog. It was partially a service dog. Fergus is a good dog. I like Fergus. He's still around, living with Bailey and Brayton. But I didn't do much with Fergus. Didn't really bond with Fergus. Didn't do much with Fergus at all. Because I'm not a pet person. Then people said we should get a second dog. Like, okay, I finally gave in. We'll get a second dog. And we went to a shelter, the whole family, and went up and down the aisles, and I found Captain. Now, we went there to get a small dog because Christy wanted a small, cuddly dog to sleep in our bed and to cuddle with on the couch. She just always wanted to get a small dog. Well, I took a look at Captain, and to me, he was a small dog. He was smaller than Fergus, at least, but he wasn't what Christy had in mind. But when we took him into the room to do the family visit, the kids all fell in love with him. He fell in love with us, and we took him home. He had issues. He had hip issues. He limped like me. So maybe that's why I liked him. I don't know. Actually, I don't think I noticed him limping, and I thought for a while he was limping because I was limping, because, the world's all about me. But he's always had hip problems. He might have been hit by a car in a previous life. He was 4 years old when we got him. And he and Fergus, it took a while for them to get along. They had a couple of fights, but they figured it out and coexisted. Since that time, we've gotten a couple of cats, and they've done fine with both dogs, and then with just Captain. The Captain would occasionally growl at the cats when they would get into his territory. He spent a lot of time in my son Braden's room while Braden was still here. He'd sleep there because, frankly, I was allergic to Captain's hair. But I loved Captain. Loved him. I picked him. I loved him. I didn't take him for walks because I either had Braden do it or I had Brooklyn do it. I had the kids. That's why I had kids, I guess, so they could walk the dogs if I ever got one. Captain was my first pet, even if he wasn't as close a pet in terms of feeding and walking as other people might consider their pets. But whenever I looked at him, whenever I petted him, whenever we interacted, he was my dog. He's also the family's dog. And when we took him to the vet about 6 weeks ago, we discovered he had major issues, major arthritis. He had a mass growing in his chest, he had a mass growing in his mouth. And we weren't totally sure what was going on. We got some meds, but it got worse quickly. Today, after about a week of not really wanting to eat and then a night of throwing up all day, we knew that we couldn't put off the inevitable. That's what we were trying to do. We knew he wouldn't survive surgery if we did surgery. So we thought, well, let's try to keep him comfortable and keep him around for as long as we can. But the inevitable came too soon. And so this morning, noon, we had to say goodbye. And so many of you have posted on my picture of me and Captain. It was me and Captain and Christy there when we said our final goodbyes. The whole family came over. We had Bailey and Braden come over. My daughter Carter couldn't make it, but she came over later. And we had pictures and we said our goodbyes. And I cried a lot. I'm not going to cry in the video because I've already cried myself out. And I never thought I would cry over a dog. But Captain was my pet. Captain was my friend. He was my dog. I picked him. And he picked us. So I guess people could change. So I wasn't a pet person. I wasn't a dog person. I wasn't a cat person. Now I'm a dog person and a cat person, and I just take care of how much hair I inhale. I don't know what's next. I don't know what pet is next in our life. But I will never forget Captain. I will never forget the change he brought in me, because I was there to help him have a change from a dog who would constantly run away from previous owners to a dog that spent his last 4 years with us. So, goodbye, Captain. We love you. I love you. Have a win anyway day. Have a win anyway night. We'll see you all tomorrow.